This is the Singer DLS Turbo, and it might be one of the most outrageous, reimagined sports cars ever built. Because this car has a party trick that almost no other performance car can match. In about 1 hour, it can transform from a road-going machine into a full-blown track monster. And today, we're going to explore every detail of it, from the engineering to the interior craftsmanship, and finally, what it's actually like to drive on both road and track. Let's start with the clever bit. When you buy a DLS Turbo, you can spec the car in road configuration, track configuration, or both. And if you choose both, Singer sends you a set of flight cases filled with extra components so you can convert the car whenever you want. At the front, you have two different bumpers. The road bumper is designed for everyday usability. It has large airflow channels for cooling and a relatively shallow rubberized splitter, so you don't destroy it on speed bumps. But the track bumper is much more aggressive. The splitter is deeper to generate more front downforce, and the intake openings are larger to improve cooling and aerodynamic efficiency. But the real difference appears at the rear. For road driving, the DLS Turbo wears a classic ducktail spoiler, a subtle nod to vintage 911 design. But for track use, you bolt on this absolutely enormous loop rear wing. It's huge, and it's even manually adjustable, so drivers can tune the amount of downforce depending on the track. However, before you get any clever ideas about mixing road parts with track aero, Singer has already thought of that. If the car detects the wrong aerodynamic configuration, it simply refuses to start. Yes, the car literally prevents you from setting it up incorrectly. You also get two complete wheel and tire sets. Both are made from lightweight magnesium, but they serve very different purposes. The road wheels are clean and elegant. Meanwhile, the track wheels have a classic motorsport design inspired by vintage BBS racing wheels from the 1970s. And they look absolutely fantastic. Now we get to the heart of the DLS Turbo, the engine. The original Singer DLS used a naturally aspirated 4.0-liter flat six. But the DLS Turbo takes a completely different approach. Here, Singer developed a 3.8-liter twin-turbocharged flat six, producing 710 horsepower, 750 Newton-meters of torque. And somehow, it still revs to over 9,000 revolutions per minute. Packaging this engine was one of the biggest challenges Singer faced. The engine bay is incredibly tight, so the turbochargers are mounted far out in the rear fenders to manage heat and airflow. Unlike the original air-cooled design, this engine uses water-cooled cylinder heads to deal with the extreme temperatures produced by the turbos. Meanwhile, the iconic central cooling fan is now electrically driven instead of belt-driven. All of this helps manage heat while maintaining the character of a classic Porsche, flat six. Power is sent to the rear wheels through a 6-speed manual gearbox developed by Ricardo. Singer switched to this transmission because the DLS Turbo produces almost double the torque of the original DLS. There's also a Sachs performance clutch capable of handling up to 1,300 Newton-meters of torque. And underneath the bodywork, the engineering is just as serious. Despite all the modern upgrades, the car still retains the basic layout of a Porsche 911 964. That means a rear engine configuration and classic trailing arm rear suspension. But Singer has massively strengthened the chassis. In fact, the DLS Turbo structure is twice as rigid as the standard DLS, 4 times stiffer than the original 964, and the suspension uses double wishbones at the front, advanced dampers, and Brembo carbon ceramic brakes. The result is a car that weighs around 1,350 kilograms, but delivers supercar performance. Step inside, and you're immediately reminded that this is still a classic 911. The design is simple and driver-focused, but the craftsmanship is extraordinary. Everything feels precise and tactile, from the window windows to the heating controls. Singer is famous for obsessing over the smallest details, and it shows. Even something as simple as turning the window handle feels perfectly engineered. The interior can be customized in countless ways. You could choose luxurious materials like tartan, gold leaf, or leather. But this particular car keeps things simple and sporty with a dark, minimalist theme. There's also a small drive mode selector developed with Bosch. It offers 5 settings: weather, normal, sport track, and everything off. But the highlight is the manual gear lever with exposed linkage. It looks mechanical, purposeful, and incredibly satisfying to use. On the road, the DLS Turbo feels very different from the naturally aspirated DLS. The original car felt extremely light and delicate. This one feels more powerful, more intense, and slightly heavier. That's because the turbos and cooling systems add weight toward the rear. So when you lift off the throttle mid-corner, you can feel the car's classic rear engine balance shifting around. In fact, Singer openly admits that the car's inspiration was the legendary Ferrari F40, and you can feel it. The goal was to capture the excitement of classic turbocharged supercars, but with better drivability. The throttle response is incredible. Even at low revs, the engine responds instantly. And unlike many turbocharged cars, there's almost no lag. You press the throttle, and the car simply explodes forward. Take the DLS Turbo to the track, and it becomes something completely different. With 345 width rear tires, enormous power, and classic 911 weight distribution, you might expect the car to be terrifying. But surprisingly, it isn't. Yes, it's extremely fast. But the suspension, engine management, and chassis balance make it surprisingly controllable. Instead of being a scary monster, it feels more like a very friendly monster. The kind that constantly encourages you to push harder. Of course, all of this performance and craftsmanship comes at a price. Singer plans to build just 99 examples of the DLS Turbo. Each one starts at roughly $2.9 million. And if you want the full road-to-track conversion kit with all the flight cases, that'll cost about $175,000 extra. The DLS Turbo is outrageous. It's extreme. And it's probably far more than any road car ever needs to be. But that's exactly what makes it special. It's not just a restored classic. It's a reimagining of the Porsche 911 taken to the absolute limit. A machine that blends classic character with modern engineering in a way almost no other car does. And if you ever get the chance to drive one, you'll understand why people are willing to spend millions to own it.